You may recognize this as the profit meme. From the internet age, this is typically the roadmap one follows if you want to become a successful startup. So step one, you build a high quality app. Step two, you get a lot of users, and then bam, profit. So step three, usually you get acquired or you IPO. And so you don't even need to be profitable. So think about Uber or Spotify. These companies have huge net losses, but they're still worth billions of dollars. So when we started Castbox, we wanted to follow this tried and true roadmap from the previous slide. We were founded in 2016, and in a little more than 2 years, we've already grown to become one of the world's leading podcast platforms. Currently, we have over 16 million users in over 175 countries. Our app is available in over 70 languages. We have an audio content library of over 50 million, and we've won numerous awards, such as Google Play's most entertaining best apps of 2016 and Google's 2017 Global Android Excellence Program. So this is a look at Castbox's investment history. As you can see, we're well on our way to step three. We've already completed 4 fundraising rounds since we were founded, and our investors include some of the most renowned PE firms, including IDG, SIG, Seeming, Jim Fund. And if we continue on our current growth trajectory, I think it's very possible that we can complete a C round, a B round, and even potentially IPO. So it was around the end of last year that we started thinking about how to do monetization in the podcast industry. Typically, it's been a very slow and difficult process for podcasters to monetize. Podcasters, they usually include an ad inside of their podcast, or they do sponsorships. So to give you an idea of how difficult it is, for a typical high-quality podcast, maybe it costs about $1,000 to produce, and then you add in $500 for marketing and promotion. It comes out to about $1,500 per episode. And so if you assume a $20 CPM, just to break even, it'll cost, you need to have at least 75,000 listens. That's a lot of listens. So aside from the ads, there's also issues with ad tracking. That's why advertisers, they don't like using this medium that much. Technology is improving, but right now tracking the ad impressions is still very difficult. And I also think that podcasters, they're very frustrated because it takes a long time to get paid. So the industry average, it takes somewhere between 30 to 90 days after you place an ad before a podcaster can get paid. So we started thinking about how blockchain can help with podcaster monetization. And we think that a token-based economy is a perfect way because it gives them another way to make money. And so, by the way, I really like PUBG shout, by the way. While we were thinking about this issue, we realized that monetization, it isn't something that just podcasters face. Digital content creators across the industry, they all have this issue. So when you look at YouTube, if you're a creator on YouTube, you're probably struggling to make a living. But if you think about what YouTube is doing, they're reaping huge advertising revenues from all of the free content that's uploaded by its users. Or if you think about music artists, right? They have to deal with record labels, licensing and copyright agencies, and distribution platforms like Spotify. Each one is an intermediary that will take a cut of the pie. So that even if you're a popular music artist, you may only make 10 to 15 cents for every dollar of revenue. So we think that content creators are not being adequately rewarded for their content. And I would argue that just as important as content creators are content consumers. So this is Reddit. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it. The whole idea behind Reddit is that users upload interesting content. They share the interesting content, and then they will either upload or download it, something we call curation. Other examples of curation include commenting and having discussions or reporting spam. And all of this is done by the user for free on their own time. But time is a limited and therefore we think a valuable resource. So we think that content consumers should also be rewarded for all of their efforts. Aside from content creators and content consumers, there's also content platforms. They compete aggressively with one another. This is a page from Spotify's IPO prospectus. If you take a look at the red box, what this is saying is that in 2017, for every dollar of Spotify's revenues, about 80% will go to their cost of revenues. And guess what the biggest component of cost of revenues is? It's copyright costs. So content platforms, they compete aggressively for high quality content. And this results in higher copyright costs, which are then transferred onto the end users, either through longer ads or higher subscription fees. So ultimately, this led to the birth of Castbox. The challenges that content creators, content consumers, and content platforms face, that's what we're trying to solve with Castbox. We're trying to build an ecosystem based off of blockchain technology that will help resolve all of these issues and bring you the digital content industry of tomorrow. So I've listed some of the key stakeholders for Castbox, and I'll briefly describe how each one will benefit from our ecosystem. So for content creators, they'll be able to earn rewards every time their content is consumed. So they'll be able to create more diverse and high quality content. And because content consumers will be connected directly with, content creators will be connected with content consumers, all of the business transactions will be streamlined. And it'll cut out a lot of the intermediaries so that they don't take such a big piece of the revenue anymore. And for content consumers, like I mentioned in the Reddit slide, any action that they do, such as sharing, liking, upvoting, they'll be able to earn tokens for this. For content platforms and distributors, they'll be able to build a shared user and content ledger so that this will help lower their traffic acquisition and IP costs. That way, they can focus more on improving user experience instead of competing with each other for these copyrights. Also, advertisers will benefit because they will be able to access a shared advertising ledger and then pay based on actual ad viewership. This will bring a lot of transparency into the industry. So what exactly is Castbox? I'll start by reading our mission statement. So we want to create a unified payout system, a shared user pool, and a shared content pool for the digital content industry. And Castbox will be made up of 3 components, each of which will address one piece of our mission. So first, a unified payment solution. This will support multi-party contingent payments, and you can think of it like this. If I want to make a donation on Twitch, which is a live streaming platform, I have to use PayPal. And if I want to buy a movie on YouTube, I may have to use Google Wallet. Or if I want to buy my Spotify subscription, then I have to pay with a credit or a debit card. What if there was a way that you could make all these purchases with one payment solution? It would save a lot of time, it would be more convenient, and you would even save on the transaction costs. So this is the unified payment solution. We will also have a unique identity solution system. This will be similar to a Facebook or Google login, but because it's based on a blockchain, no one company will be able to own all of your And we're also working on trying to add a privacy layer on top of it so that not everyone can see all of your personal information. And the benefit of this is that all of the users, they'll be easily able to access all of the apps within our ecosystem very easily. So this will create a shared content pool. And third, we're going to have a turnkey solution. So for content creators that maybe don't have a tech or a development background, they'll be able to create their own content platforms. You can think of this as kind of like a WordPress for lovers. And this way, all of the stakeholders will be able to access a shared content pool. So what's our advantage?